Hi, Drew Ianni, Chairman of AppNation. Good to see you, Mark.
What inspired you to start? You could have started a conference on anything coming from your background. Maybe you can give us a little bit about your background and what inspired the app space.
Been doing digital media for about 15 years, online advertising, digital media, agency side. I was at Jupiter in the late 90s. I think, as you well know, I was running ad tech the last few years. This just seems like the future. And it's impacting all industries, and it's not just about sort of fun apps on your phone. I mean, this is big business for virtually every company in every vertical, and it's B2B, it's B2C, it's global, and it's fun. It's cutting edge, so it's kind of fun to be playing in this space. And ad tech was a great experience, but I think this is kind of where the future is.
Right. So again, you could take any piece of technology. You could even do devices if you wanted to, but you really chose apps. What informed that? Other than we've just talked a little bit about the size of the market.
Sure. I think it's because we can be Switzerland, for lack of a better term. It doesn't matter to us as a show, who's winning the market share war, or that app over that app, or that operating system over that operating system, over that device over that device. We are talking about apps across all devices and across all operating systems. So we're an independent marketplace for people to come talk about this and hopefully meet new people, new partnerships, and new business, and learn. That's what we want to create.
Right, and you mentioned to me you were a little bit surprised by the size of the turnout, considering and the people coming from all walks, from the developers to marketers to the VC community, et cetera. What do you think struck a nerve here?
Well, that's a great question. It was a pure viral phenomenon, to be sure. We got 700 registrations in the last 8 or 9 days. We were hoping we would have maybe 600 or 700 registrations. We ended up with 1,250. Our marketing budget was zero. We had 16 weeks to plan this, essentially. I think it's just a testament to the interest that people have in the market, and a lot of people literally read about the conference in an article on Monday morning in the paper and showed up.
Well, and great content. Mention a couple of the headliners that you've had here.
It was a great, we were blessed with some wonderful speakers. Everybody from venture capitalists such as Kleiner Perkins and Excel Partners and Sequoia Capital. Time Inc. was here. ESPN was here. Hearst was here. Audi was here. North Face was here. Just all these great app companies. Geodelic and AppMaker and Cool Iris, and so it was a very, very diverse audience, and a few Wall Street analysts were roaming around, and Apple was in the building, even though they didn't want us to say. So it was a wonderful diverse mix, and that's what I want to keep doing. I want it to continue to be a diverse mix. We don't want to overload on one particular segment or the other. And what's interesting is that everybody wants to meet each other. Like ad tech is a very defined buyer-seller ecosystem. Yep. The buyers are clear and the sellers are clear, and the chase is for the sellers are chasing the buyers. Here it's more like a matrix. Everyone kind of wants to meet everybody else, and they have a legitimate business reason to meet each other. And that's unusual for a conference, and it's kind of fun and allows you to play with a different model.
That's a good point. So Nielsen was here earlier, I believe yesterday, running through some of the numbers. $4.1 billion market today in 2009, from 2009 to $17.5 billion by 2012, 7 billion apps to 50 billion apps downloaded. Any other kind of top lines?
Well, I use those numbers in my little opening too. I just picked that particular statistic, and that again, that only quantifies the total value of app downloads. That doesn't quantify the entire app economy. So we're talking about all these businesses that are starting to service apps, right? Tools for developers to go cross-platform, marketers and PR agencies, and So when you really look at the global app economy, and again, that was also just U.S. So if you take the global app downloads, the global app economy that's, this market that's developing, it's almost difficult to try to quantify how large that is. So I think 17.5 is one of the numbers, but it's just the app download value. So
right. So that's interesting. So the reason I was one of my questions for you is there was something on a panel where someone asked if apps are the new network. So the
right.
you think about the ABC, the NBCs, the CBS, and the Foxes. is perhaps the Apple channel or the Get Jars or
Yeah, sure.
These app stores. Are they the new channel?
The stores are absolutely distribution channels, sure.
But I really am comparing it to the entertainment value and brand value that you start getting, and actually, hopefully for your conference, the size of a CES or a entertainment conference,
an E3 or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that they do represent an entirely new channel, and it's our show wants to cover the value chain, right? So, essentially we want an AppNation. We're never going to be a technical show. People, they're not going to come here to code or engineer or hack or any of that. So we're covering when the app is essentially finished. Mm-hmm. So once that app is finished, the value chain from that point to when it gets in the consumer's hands. Yeah. That's where we want to be. And it is, for advertisers, for example, that is a whole new distribution channel. GetJar. Is that an advertising and marketing and distribution? Yeah, it sure is, because they're downloading, 3 or 4 million apps a day or something on GetJar. I mean, they just went through their billionth app downloaded.
200 a second on the iStore, if you believe Steve Jobs' number.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, so all of those 200s a second, those are all interfaced with the consumer.
Yeah.
So, someone will certainly find a way to quantify that.
So, obviously, it's still emergent. But kind of define the state of the art today. I mean, especially having come from, like you said, defined spaces like ad tech and the Comdexes, the E3s. There's these really developed players.
Sure. Well, I think if you're comparing conferences, I think it's ad tech was started in 1996. It's ad tech 1996. That's what I mean. It's the very, very beginning, and it's 96 was really almost sort of the just pre-tipping point for online media and all these types of things. And I think we are at tipping point. We are in it. I think we're in the middle of it. I think we're in that sort of, this eye of the hurricane where it's like, it's definitely not calm, but this first wave went past, all this hype and all of this, and then here comes the backside of the hurricane, and that's kind of going to be the masses. Yep. The early adopters have obviously taken this up, and we're beyond early adopter for the youth market. Yep. This is a mass market youth phenomenon at the very least, but now it's going to the true full mass market, and that's when you see big advertisers get involved. That's when you see big agencies get involved. That's when you see big media and entertainment companies get involved. Yep. It's crossed the chasm, to use the old Jeffrey Moore term, right? It has crossed the chasm, and now it's off to the mass market.
So a couple of questions about moving into the marketers realm. What do you think the number one pain point for marketers are in this space?
I think probably fragmentation and confusion about all these different platforms and what should they build for. It's cost intensive, and having run an agency before, I know the dirty word of it, is headcount. Right. And having to add costs just to your overall structure and bottom line. It's tough for agencies and people building apps. So they've probably built an iPhone app. Maybe they've gotten to the point of Android. And then they're looking out and going, here comes Microsoft and Windows Phone, and here comes HP and WebOS and whatever they're going to do, and here comes Nokia and Intel building the MeeGo operating system, and Samsung's got their own, but then there's all these different app stores, and carriers have different app stores, and it's overwhelming, all the new distribution points. Right. How do you build for them, and can you afford to build for them? And
Well, wouldn't you argue that we got to speed when it got simplified, when there wasn't a single app store?
Sure.
It wasn't about 5 carriers and 200 devices. It became a lot more simplified with the iOS, and then Google's done with Android.
Sure. I mean, I think, look, markets like aggregation. Big markets need big points of aggregation. Walmart, big box retailers, things like that. The Yahoos of the world originally when it was a directory, and Yahoo was successful as a portal because it organized all this information. Yep. So people want it to be organized in single places, so that actually, that bodes well really at the end of the day for Apple and for Android.
Marketers, consumers, the whole system ended up benefiting from it. There will be disruption, but there was a benefit.
But we have a ways to go before that consolidation happens, because you have Microsoft coming into this market and spending a lot of money, and they have distribution.
Yeah, but they did that with music too, though. Right?
Oh, sure.
And they didn't make a dent, and Steve Jobs is a big
Not
player.
at all. But what you have Microsoft had never done music before. So what Microsoft does have is they have an established channel, and they have an established, they also have done mobile operating systems 6 times. Yeah. They just haven't been very good, so.
Well, devil's advocate a little bit about this too. I I've been thinking that Apple's one hit was music, and they haven't made that much of a dent in filmed entertainment and other kind of things. 100 million downloads really is like a bad box office.
But I think they go there. I think they go there next, and
but apps though, they've actually had this phenomenon, and it seems like it's their next big space.
Well, I think they'll buy Netflix. I mean, that's my personal opinion, and I think then instantly they are a major distribution force in the movie business.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to look at television content as the next thing. And Apple TV is what they're trying to do with that. Now, I don't think Apple TV will ever be a mass market device, because people just aren't going to buy another device around their cable box. Once that functionality, sort of an over-the-top aggregation content functionality, is built into a television, whether they have to build their own or whether it somehow gets, or maybe it's just iTunes over the top via the web-connected television, right?
Yeah.
Then Apple,
Then you think filmed entertainment, they're there.
Well, if they buy Netflix filmed entertainment, they'll be there. And then, but here's the thing, is their advantage, they have to go there, because they have 150 million credit. They have more credit cards on file than U.S. households.
160 million, right?
150, maybe it's 60 now. Yeah. Last I saw it was 150. So there are more credit cards that they have on file than U.S. households.
One-click purchase.
One-click purchase. So they can go wherever they want to go. They're a massive distribution force. They're like the size of all the cable companies put together, and then some.
All right.
So,
out of curiosity, what's in your wallet? What phone do you have?
So I have, this is relatively new, so I have the Samsung Galaxy.
The Galaxy, that's sexy,
and
very nice.
I must say, I like it a lot.
It's hot. And how do you get your iOS hits? What are you doing?
Well, I have an iPhone as well. This is my primary.
Okay, that's
but,
cool.
I do have an iPhone. I've had an iPhone for a while, so, I need to see it all.
Totally.
And I have a tab. I have an iPhone, tablet.
Yeah. What were the stats we heard that the iPhone users have like 40 apps and
it was
Android's like 27 or something like that.
It was like, in terms of having the apps, it was like 41, then 27, and then BlackBerry was like 10, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll research those and post them on the blog.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But so what's your top apps? So again, this is just personal one-on-one with you.
Oh, I mean, it's I'm not that fancy. I mean, it's sort of New York Times, and I love my Major League Baseball
Angry
app.
Birds.
And I haven't done the Ring. I haven't done the Angry Birds. I think it's a fun game. Major League Baseball. I love Shazam. I'll be in a bar or something, whatever. Shazam is still cool.
Cool.
Those are kind of my main. I can't wait till we get into a situation where I don't know when it's going to happen, and it's sort of the cable and the TV everywhere stuff, but when you can get a Mad Men episode, or when you can get Entourage, and those kind of things. That's what I'm waiting for.
I just bring it up because in airports and in bars, I actually hear people talking about apps now the way they did movies.
Yeah.
Where they'd say, hey, did you see Inception? And instead they'd say, hey, what apps do you have?
Yeah.
And have you played this level or whatever?
Yes, I mean, and I think that's, and I my ears are always open walking down the streets of New York or in a taxi cab or whatever it is, and just general conversation. I mean, it is the tipping point, and maybe we're past. I think this is a mass market phenomenon.
Yeah.
We're at the front end of it, but it's already, I think it's gone mass market.
Right.
I don't think this is early adopter.
I think your perspective is a little bit skewed because you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It is new for Middle America. It still is new.
For Middle America, but not for the youth, though.
Right.
Not for the youth.
But for you, I will have to say, congrats. This is a great space to be in, and we're looking forward to many years of this with you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Yeah.